that Ryan Reynolds actually cannot stand his own wife, Blake Lively. When does it end? Because it seems like Blake's been a problem for a long time.
Ryan Reynolds has smashed Blake Lively's lawsuit and exposed her for the whole world to see. I honestly disbelieve her fully now. Turns out, when private conversations and emails between Blake and Baldoni appeared, even Hollywood's most charming husband had to drop the act.
Instead, he spoke to Miss Lively out of character as himself.
And honestly, after 12 years and 4 kids, getting blindsided like this, certainly no one's sticking around for that. But it wasn't the case from day one. Ryan Reynolds stood by his wife, Blake Lively, without a second thought when she accused Justin Baldoni of harassment. Even he got sucked into the matter for his support.
Late last night, Justin Baldoni's team filed an amended complaint in their lawsuit against Blake Lively, Ryan Reynolds, the New York Times.
And not just the supportive husband type of standing by. He went full Hollywood power move. Phone calls were made.
With a lot more evidence, including text messages between Justin and Ryan. We gotta break these down.
Baldoni was nicknamed a crazed predator. Studios were urged to end ties. Ryan made sure everyone in the industry recognized that messing with Blake meant career death. No one questioned it. Why would they? Ryan and Blake are Hollywood's golden duo.
She alleges that she's a Me Too victim there. That's absurd.
When Blake came forward, people listened. The media went into overdrive, and Baldoni, he was getting buried before he could even speak a word. At first, the allegations appeared career-ending.
One of the key allegations in her complaint against Justin Baldoni was as follows, okay, from paragraph 48 of her complaint.
Blake reported that during shooting, Baldoni had said in her ear, "It smells so good," while dragging his lips down her neck. She created a picture of a man who made her uncomfortable, who didn't respect limits, who changed a work atmosphere into his personal hunting ground. Hear it all in the voice of Megan.
Baldoni and Ms. Lively were filming a slow dance scene for a montage in which no sound was recorded. Mr. Baldoni chose to let the camera roll and have them perform the scene, but did not act in character as Ryle. Instead, he spoke to Ms. Lively out of character as himself. At one point, he leaned forward and slowly dragged his lips from her ear and down her neck as he said, "It smells so good."
And if it wasn't awful enough, she went all in. She accused Baldoni of intruding when she was nude and breastfeeding. She even put up a complaint against his producing partner for showing her pornography. At this point, Baldoni wasn't only a nasty man, he was almost being positioned as Hollywood's next great controversy.
She accused his producing partner of showing her pornography. Then they produced in his lawsuit against her a picture of the alleged pornography, and it was a beautiful, artistic, absolutely non-pornographic shot of his business partner and his wife with their newborn baby in a bathtub after a bathtub birth.
And do you know what was the most explosive proof of Ryan's direct role in this case? Well, that happened on July 15th, 2020, when he personally walked out to Baldoni's agent at WME, William Morris Endeavor, and made it very apparent what he wanted. He branded Baldoni a psychotic predator and flat out recommended the agency to dump him.
She decided she wanted to take over and use the power of her fame and name and that of her husband, Ryan Reynolds, to bully Justin Baldoni into the fetal position. And this has been released now, according to TMZ.
And when Baldoni's representative finally had the confidence to fight back and ask for evidence, Ryan didn't care. He wasn't there for facts. He was there to make sure Baldoni never worked again. But he didn't stop there. Inside Wayfarer Studios, where Baldoni had considerable power, Ryan rose directly to the top. He phoned up a top executive and doubled back, indicating that Baldoni was a risk and that Hollywood needed to terminate links with him.
He's following through on his vow to release all his communications with Blake Lively, revealing a nearly 7-minute apology he sent her at 2 a.m. while they were working on the film It Ends With Us.
Baldoni's representative finally had the confidence to fight back and ask for evidence. Ryan didn't care. He wasn't there for facts. He was there to make sure Baldoni never worked again. But he didn't stop there. Inside Wayfarer Studios, where Baldoni had considerable power, Ryan rose directly to the top. He phoned up a top executive and doubled back, indicating that Baldoni was a risk and that Hollywood needed to terminate links with him.
This guy's been to a few too many how to be a feminist classes. Take a listen.
Hey, Blake. It is 2 a.m. Hopefully this does not wake you up.
And when Baldoni's representative finally had the confidence to fight back and ask for evidence, Ryan didn't care. He wasn't there for facts. He was there to make sure Baldoni never worked again. But he didn't stop there. Inside Wayfarer Studios, where Baldoni had considerable power, Ryan rose directly to the top. He phoned up a top executive and doubled back, indicating that Baldoni was a risk and that Hollywood needed to terminate links with him.
Mr. Baldoni routinely degraded Miss Lively by finding back-channel ways of criticizing her body and weight. Notice back-channel ways, never directly to her. I don't see anything that says he was fat-shaming her directly.
This wasn't some passive Hollywood gossip. This was a full-blown career assassination in real time. The message was clear. If you connect with Baldoni, you're making an enemy of Ryan Reynolds.
I guess he was taping his own voicemails? Because this is, according to TMZ, coming from him or his team, not from her. I think the point of it is to show us that he was not some evil harasser. He was, he was subjugated to her and Ryan Reynolds, and clearly afraid of both of them.
Evidence. August 6th, 2023, the premiere of It Ends With Us, the exact movie at the crux of all this drama. But guess who wasn't there? Baldoni, the director of the flick, was banned from attending his own red carpet celebration. And guess who personally campaigned for that? Ryan. He allegedly told insiders, no one wants him there. In Hollywood, if you're shut out of your own movie premiere, it's more than just embarrassing. It's career suicide.
His job.
He watched me breastfeed naked in my trailer. In context, when we saw text from her saying, I'm breastfeeding in my trailer, come on over. And they've gone tit for tat in the, nice pun right after the breastfeeding.
It notifies the whole business that you're done, you're untouchable, and you may as well start hunting for a new job in another nation.
This is what she's done throughout. She said, he came in my trailer while I was breastfeeding. Well, then he produced the text messages showing her saying, I'm breastfeeding, come on over. She, like, time and time again, she accuses him of doing something, which then when you hear the full context is an absolute nothing burger.
Evidence that utterly crushed Blake's accusations. The slow dance sequence that she alleged was so uncomfortable and predatory. TMZ uploaded the whole video, and it showed Blake laughing, joking, even being the one inciting physical contact. Baldoni wasn't snooping on her. He was just doing his job.
Just here's yet another one. She wants us to believe this is actionable harassment, what we just witnessed there. You tell me whether that's what that looks like to you.
And Blake Lively's case wasn't simply built on one or two allegations. It was a stacked case, each claim more fiery than the preceding. But the second one toppled, the rest started sliding like dominoes, and no claim backfired more than the nursing episode.
She clearly cooperated with the New York Times to leak the whole thing. Indeed, that's, Brian argues, the reason she went and filed the complaint with the Human Rights Division, so that she could then leak it to the Times, so she could start to rehabilitate her reputation, which got smeared because she turned out to be not a very nice person.
For months, Blake maintained that Justin Baldoni had intruded on her when she was naked and breastfeeding in her own trailer. The conclusion was extremely clear. This wasn't merely a guy who surpassed professional limits. This was someone who defied all limitations, who shattered fundamental human decency. The media ran wild with it. Hollywood took sides. Baldwin's reputation was getting torched before he even got a chance to breathe a word. Then, in December 2023, Baldoni dropped the receipts. And suddenly, this awful violation started seeming more like a badly written soap opera twist. And just like that, the entire story reversed.
Ryan Reynolds actually cannot stand his own wife, Blake Lively.
Because how could someone claim to be raped in a setting they prepared themselves? The letters didn't merely poke holes in Blake's charges, they wrenched them apart at the seams. Baldoni wasn't some terrible intruder. He was a visitor she intentionally accepted. And immediately, what had previously been one of the most devastating aspects of her accusation became one of the most humiliating lies.
When does it end? Because it seems like Blake's been a problem for a long time.
Ryan Reynolds has been one of the greatest proponents defending Blake. But after those texts fell, something shifted. His PR crew went into overdrive, hoping to reduce the ramifications. And Ryan, for the first time, he shut up. No remarks, no calls, no major attacks on Baldoni.
And part of the reason why I feel like he left for Blake was because he didn't want an equal partner. Scarlett Johansson would have been that, and he wanted to feel superior.
I am fully convinced that there has to be a connection between this humor that this couple specifically coined, a direct line from that to millennial women finding out via TikTok that their husbands hate them.
Was this the moment he genuinely realized that he had been tricked? Or was he only striving to swallow the great reality of the situation? Was he coming to grips with the awful knowledge that his wife hadn't just lied to the public, but she had also lied to him, the person closest to her? The one who thought they enjoyed a bond established on trust and affection. It must have been a devastating blow for him to actually comprehend that the lady he once trusted with everything had misled him not just in front of the world, but also in the most intimate way. The weight of that knowing must have been virtually excruciating as the awful truth set in. And as if the emotional betrayal wasn't enough, things took a turn for the worst with Blake's next desperate move, the so-called pornographic image incident. This fresh dispute just heightened the stress, adding even more complexity to an already combustible environment. Each new revelation merely seemed to drive the knife deeper, shattering what he felt he understood about his relationship and the world around him.
You can't see any body parts. You can just see that two people clearly are in a bathtub holding their baby. Just here's yet another one. She wants us to believe this is actionable harassment, what we just witnessed there.
This time, she accused Justin Baldoni's producing partner of showing her indecent material on site. The allegation was purposely unclear, but the language used were nuclear-level damaging. Terms like graphic and inappropriate were thrown around, conveying an idea of Blake being presented to something unpleasant and wrong. The implication was clear. Blake was supposedly exposed to something that went beyond professional lines and was downright inappropriate for the position. But just as earlier, the truth came back even harsher, presenting a completely new viewpoint. The vague nature of the accusation, together with the heated tone, left many wondering about the real depth of what had happened. Was it an isolated incident, or was there more to the tale that hadn't been disclosed yet? As the issue started to unravel, it became obvious that the situation was far more complex than it initially seemed. With every additional piece of information, the tale developed, and what looked like a straightforward accusation soon encompassed layers of confusion and contradiction. Despite the awful nature of the claims, the response to these accusations was quick, with some doubting the veracity of the sources and the objectives behind the timing of the allegations. The longer the story built, the more it became obvious that the truth would ultimately come to light, and that reality, when it disclosed, would be far more harmful than any original allegation could have been. Inside sources at WME and Wayfarer Studios began to whisper as soon as Ryan's tone substantially shifted. The man who had spent months secretly working behind the scenes to bring down Baldwin's career, pushing narratives and alerting executives, was suddenly no longer making calls. The aura about him had transformed. No longer was he the one fueling the fires against Baldwin. Instead, he had gone silent. No more whispering in the halls, no more efforts to sway anyone's views. Was it conceivable that Ryan had approached Blake? Had she finally gone clean, exposing the reality of their connection? Or perhaps he had come to know something more deeper and more troubling. Was he coming to grips with the fact that his marriage, the one he had built on trust and love, was now something completely different? Could the whole base of all he believed in, all he struggled for, have been shattered in one instant? The whole globe is still waiting for Ryan to make his final move. Every day, the speculation gets louder. What will he do next? Will he continue to stay mute? Or will he take the next move in this ever-evolving drama? The tension is growing, and it's only a matter of time before the truth, or at least a part of it, inevitably comes to light. The calm surrounding him merely adds fuel to the flames of inquiry. Everyone is on edge, striving to piece together the cryptic movements he's been making. It's apparent something huge is about to break. What's coming next may affect everything. So, if you don't want to miss the next twist in this never-ending drama, push that subscribe button. You don't want to blink, as with each passing second, the story moves closer to its next great surprise. Keep your eyes on this location. There's so much more to come.